Have you ever walked past a stranger and felt, just for a fleeting second, that their pain was too heavy to ignore? That's exactly where our story begins, on a chilly evening when the city lights were glowing like scattered stars on the wet pavement, and life seemed to rush past without stopping for anyone. But there, on a weathered park bench tucked beneath a lonely street lamp, sat a man in his late 50s, shoulders slouched, face buried in trembling hands, as though the weight of the whole world had been dropped into his chest. People passed by without a glance, umbrellas shielding them from the drizzle, their minds preoccupied with deadlines, dinners, and destinations. To them, he was invisible, just another shadow among many. But to one small boy, whose innocent heart had not yet learned to ignore the sadness of others, that man was not invisible at all. The boy, no older than 8, clutched his tiny backpack straps and slowed his pace, tugging gently at his mother's hand. "Mister, why are you crying alone?" The boy's tender voice pierced through the soft patter of rain. The man lifted his head slowly, startled by the question, his eyes red and swollen, his lips quivering as if no one had asked him anything in years. For a long moment, he simply stared at the boy, the way someone stares at a miracle they never expected. His voice, when it finally emerged, was cracked and fragile. "Because, I have no one left to listen." The mother tried to tug her son along, whispering that they shouldn't bother strangers, but the boy planted his feet firmly on the ground and refused to move. With the kind of courage only a child can have, he looked at the man again and said softly, "Do you need a hug?" Those words, simple, pure, unpolished, cut through the storm inside the man's chest like sunlight through clouds. His eyes widened, filling with tears that spilled freely now, as if the boy's question had unlocked a dam. And in that vulnerable moment, when silence stretched between them, the boy stepped forward, wrapping his tiny arms around the man's shaking frame. The embrace was clumsy, small compared to the vastness of the man's grief, but it was real. It was warm. It was enough to make him collapse into sobs, holding onto that fragile thread of kindness as though it were a lifeline. You see, dear listener, this wasn't just a chance encounter, it was the beginning of a story that would change both of their lives forever. Because behind every tear lies a story, and behind every story lies a reason. And when you take the time to listen, you might just find pieces of yourself in someone else's brokenness. That night, under the dim light of a lonely lamp, the man told the boy things he had not spoken aloud in years. His name was Daniel, once a proud father and a loving husband. But life, as it often does, had stolen away more than he could bear. His wife, Sarah, had been his anchor, his safe place in a chaotic world, until illness took her too soon. His daughter, Lily, whom he adored beyond measure, had drifted away after a bitter argument years earlier, choosing silence over reconciliation. And now, all that remained was the echo of laughter in an empty house, photographs collecting dust, and a heart that grew heavier with every sunrise. "I sit here every evening," Daniel confessed, his voice trembling, "hoping someone will notice me. Hoping someone will see that I am still here, even if I don't feel alive anymore." The mother, who had intended to pull her son away, found herself frozen in place, tears forming in her own eyes as she listened. The boy tightened his hug, whispering, "You're not alone anymore, mister. I see you." Those words were more healing than any medicine, more powerful than any sermon. They planted a seed in Daniel's weary soul, a seed of hope that maybe, just maybe, life could still hold moments of connection worth living for. And as the rain cleared and the night sky revealed scattered stars, the boy finally pulled back, his smile as bright as the moon. He didn't know the weight of what he had done, nor did he understand how his simple act of kindness had just saved a man from giving up entirely. But he knew one thing, the world felt different now. Kinder, softer, more alive. That night, as mother and son walked away, Daniel whispered a silent promise to himself: he would not give up. He would try, for the boy who cared, for the hug that reminded him he still mattered. And you, dear viewer, as you listen to this story, remember that sometimes all it takes to change a life is a single question, a single gesture, a single hug. So let me ask you now, if this story touched your heart, if it made you pause and feel something deep within, would you give us your support? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs a reminder that they are not alone. Because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for you to notice, someone is waiting for your kindness, and you never know, you might just save their life with it. Have you ever wondered how one small moment, A word, a smile, a hug, can ripple through someone's life and change everything that follows. That's exactly what happened to Daniel after that rainy evening in the park. For years he had walked like a ghost, his heart hollow, his mind weighed down by memories he thought would destroy him. Yet now, every morning, when the loneliness threatened to swallow him whole, he remembered the little boy's voice, "Mister, why are you crying alone? Do you need a hug?" And it echoed in his soul like a lantern glowing in the dark. He could not shake it off, nor did he want to. That simple act of kindness became the thread pulling him back toward life. At first, the changes were small. He started leaving the house earlier, walking to the same park bench where he had once broken down. He carried fresh flowers in his pocket, something he hadn't done since Sarah's funeral. He even smiled at strangers, though the smile felt fragile, like glass that could shatter if handled too roughly. Yet people began to notice him again. A nod from a passerby, a gentle greeting from the old man who walked his dog, even the street vendor who sold him tea began to ask, "How are you today?" They were tiny gestures, but to Daniel they were monumental, proof that the world hadn't completely forgotten him. Still, one wound remained unhealed, his daughter, Lily. Every night, he would sit in his dimly lit living room, staring at her photograph on the mantel, the laughter of her teenage years echoing in his ears. The pain of their last argument replayed in his mind like a cruel loop. She had wanted freedom, independence, dreams he couldn't understand at the time. His stubbornness, his inability to let her go her own way, had pushed her out the door. And pride, his greatest enemy, had kept him from reaching out. Years had gone by, and silence had become a wall taller than any mountain. But after the boy's hug, Daniel began to wonder if maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe there was still a chance.